Today we're going to be talking about a movie with a conspiracy at the heart of it. A conspiracy to remain hidden from the mafia. Two men pose as women avoiding mobsters in the classic film, and I say that with the biggest quotation marks around classic, Some Like It Hot. What I would consider the coldest movie we've watched so far. Noah, how was your viewing experience of Some Like It Hot?
This is going to be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to this. Love this film. Does it deserve to be number 2 on the list? Possibly
it's
not.
It's number fucking 2?
2. Big 2.
Oh, it's 22.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were saying it's number 2 on the AFI. I was about to be
so on the AFI it goes Citizen Kane and then Some Like It Hot.
That's a lie. It does not.
No, it goes Citizen Kane and then 20 others and then Some Like It Hot.
21 others.
No, because 1 and then 20 and then 1.
Oh, you're right. So you actually like this flaming pile of garbage?
Oh, yeah, hands down. Like, love this movie. Honest to God, genuinely love it. So let's get real into it.
Well, then I'll let you get into the opening and tell us how this movie kicks off and basically get us to Miami. How do they end up in Florida?
Sure. What a great question. I think one of the things that works so well off the bat is that the conceit for them getting to Florida and dressing up in drag is actually believable, right? Like, it's not like a flimsy sort of reason for them to get dressed up as women and then make fun of them the whole time for being like, they're women. Basically what happens is you have a long silent opening scene with like mobsters that you don't know are mobsters driving a hearse, and they're being chased by the police, and they go to a speakeasy, and the police bust a move? No,
the police come in and fucking Michael Jackson that shit so hard.
They're dancing, they're jiving, they're having a good time, and then the police come in and raid the speakeasy. Chaos ensues, everyone runs away, and then our 2 stars, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, who play I don't even remember the names right now. Joe and Jerry, I think, are the male.
I know one of them's Joe.
Joe, and I think the other's Jerry, because her original name is Geraldine. When they get into the dresses, they go to pick up a car to run away to get some money, and they are spotted by a mob hit, and so then they're being chased down by a team of mobsters, and they have to find a way to get as far from Chicago as possible. And here are our big 4 reasons. It is the Depression. It is the middle of Prohibition. They just witnessed a mob hit. And the only conceivable way that they can get a job, because there's ostensibly no jobs available, is to dress up as women and take a job in an all-ladies band, which is 3 weeks expenses paid in a Florida resort.
Yeah, that's true. And on the train, they meet Marilyn Monroe, who has apparently a drinking problem because of all the men that have broken her heart. And
no, she can quit anytime she wants to. She just doesn't want to.
I don't want you to think I'm a drinker. I can stop anytime I want to, only I don't want to.
And they are a part of this band in the most non-believable women costumes ever, and there's just so much interesting observations about women of that era. It is fascinating, to say the least. Would you say the comedy fell as flat for you at this point as it did me, or no? Were you?
Oh,
were you
not
having
even a little
chuckle?
bit.
Okay.
No, I was having a good time, because so I don't even know. I'm not sure how to dive into this, but I want to say a couple of quick things. Is there sexism in this movie? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I think that one of the reasons that Some Like It Hot holds up so well and doesn't necessarily need to be in the top 25 films on the list is that I feel like every movie that I've ever seen where like the main plot point is like men dressing up as women, like drag is like the whole like point of the comedy, is like the men dress up as women, and then people are like, haha, it's either like, oh, you're so ugly, or haha, like they're doing like quintessentially or stereotypically female things, and we're laughing at them because they have no idea what that's like. I feel like all the movies that I've seen that use that as their like plot device use like pretty low humor, and I actually feel like most of the stuff in this movie like kind of avoids that aspect of it and tends to go with like the scene where they come to the hotel for the first time, and both of them have experiences of like Daphne gets like pinched in the elevator by this fucking creep of a of like a millionaire playboy. I guess he's in his like 70s, And then
Noah, he's 30s. It's just the era. That's just what you looked like at 30 back then.
whatever. And then freaking what's her name? Not Daphne, Josephine gets like hit on by this like prepubescent bellhop. And they both get back to the room and they're like, "This is ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? It's like I'm a red flag and everyone around me is a bull." And I don't know. I thought that most of the humor in the movie sort of like hinges on those kind of devices where they're like, "Wow, this is like a little bit ridiculous that we're not even attractive. Like, I'm not even an attractive woman." And they're like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just have to have a skirt on."
I completely agree. I actually think that is the part of the movie that worked for me the best. It actually contains kind of a meta element that's like a criticism of men and like the male gaze because it's these men now having to deal with it. And I think that was really great. Now let's focus back on the horrific treatment of Marilyn Monroe because wow.
Oh, geez.
Wow. So she is with them in Miami as a part of this band. And one of the men decides, I really am crazy about her and I'd love to have a night with her.
Tony Curtis, right? The guy who gets on the yacht.
So with the one millionaire being in love with one of the guys, they convince him to not be on his yacht for a night so that this guy can pretend to own the yacht and take Marilyn Monroe to it, where he then makes up an elaborate lie of his life. All of it based on bullshit that he's also a super rich millionaire who's asexual because of a traumatic experience, and he puts it on her to wake up his sex drive. Again, wow, gaslighting her into putting down her walls so that he can then sexually exploit her. Just a fucking great dude here. I say that with all of the sarcasm. And then, I'm going to fast forward to get into this terrible movie. The mob guys show up in the hotel. There's another super violent shootout, which we didn't touch on that.
Yep.
There is just like Valentine's Day style massacres happening. And the movie's like, oh! And then from there, the guys run out of the hotel to avoid the mobsters because they're still not arrested. They get on a boat with the millionaire who decides that he's okay with one of them being a dude. And that's actually like kind of funny. I was like, this is funny. But then Marilyn Monroe, last minute, after finding out that all of the things she's been told to lie, is like, wait for me too, and gets on the boat. And the guy's like, I told you everything I said's not true. I lied to you to get you to sleep with me.
That's
Why
not
are
true.
you... Okay, they didn't actually have sex.
Because, no. Well, that part too. But also, he does play tenor saxophone, and we know that Marilyn Monroe, a.k.a. Sugar Cane, the best name for any character in any movie, has a soft spot for tenor saxophone players.
I guess if you're pro gaslighting women, that's Noah's endorsement. But then she says, well, I told you I'm dumb, so...
Sugar, what do you think you're doing?
I told you, I'm not very bright.
And they sail off into the sunset. Is that a fair evaluation?
No, that's a fair evaluation, and that is a regular plot point that does kind of, like, nudges me the wrong way. The whole, like, Marilyn just being like, I'm dumb, and the reality is that, like, in real life... she's not a dumb person. And actually, I guess in these discussions, like we're totally at liberty to talk about all aspects of it. So the actors.
Oh, Marilyn Monroe was abused as hell in Hollywood. What she went through.
Oh my
was terrible.
God.
Yeah.
Just like, I kind of am in love with her. That's not right. But like, she just seems like a wonderful person who had such a horribly depressing life. And I just can't help. I guess in love is the wrong word. I just feel bad for her. Like, I have like so much sympathy for her. And so it is hard to see her like get cast in these roles that are actually kind of reflective of like the life that she led, which is that like people basically continually sexualized her from the time she was like 8 onwards. She lived in foster homes for like her entire life. And so she like uses her body to like get out, like to get away.
Yeah.
But she's still like, even when she becomes rich and famous, like she is still regularly abused and like, you know, harassed by the men who...
on a literally presidential level.
Yeah.
And that is not her fault at
No.
all. I mean, it's terrible that there's some people who have tried to like frame it as like, well, she put herself. Fuck you. There's no excuse ever to abuse someone. Absolutely, she is a victim of Hollywood of that era, which is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to acknowledge that. I mean, not willing to. I full-heartedly, with my chest, acknowledge that. And at the same time, she is not a good actress. And I think it's still okay that I can make that criticism because I've acknowledged the terrible part of her life. But this entire movie, I have never seen someone genuinely act by going like, really? And I was, wow, it's so bad.
I don't know why. You know what? That's a really good question, though, Daniel. There's something about me or movies of this era, or maybe something about like the way that the movie moves along. Because again, I genuinely enjoy this movie, and so there's something about when I watch a movie like that where I am so able to suspend my disbelief for that kind of acting because I'm sort of treating it at the like from the jump as a comedy, which is not to say like I actually think that comedy is a much harder thing to pull off than drama, right? Like from an acting standpoint. But I kind of want those caricatures in like a certain type of movie. So is she a great actor? Probably not, but it absolutely fits into like what I want for this kind of movie. So yeah, is she like, really? And like Beanstalk, which by the way, just the names in this movie, Beanstalk is like the accountant, I guess, or no, he's the manager of the all ladies band, but he just goes by, his name is Beanstalk, and he like also all of his facial expressions are like straight out of the silent era of movies, like the billionaire, the millionaire that they run away with. His expressions are like all over the top. Everything. There's a scene where they're first walking up to the hotel and all the old men are sitting on their rocking chairs, and the one closest to the screen like curls his lips, and I swear to God, it looks exactly like the Grinch. Like there is so many like rolls in his smile. It's I don't know how he did it.
I can totally agree with and acknowledge that there is a charm of this era that is very rarely reproduced, and it's enamoring, and it's very much so at the core of like what made Marilyn Monroe so iconic for her time. There's this enamoring, glamorizing effect that just puts a spell on you. I think we talked about this a little bit with Singing in the Rain, where it had that kind of just vibrant, picturesque, life is simple, problems are as simple as just run out the room goofily and like
and put on a dress and you'll be fine.
And I can totally acknowledge there's even a part of me that does enjoy this movie on that level, but when it comes down to like any form of critical analysis, I will say the chemistry was pretty good. I actually like the chemistry between the people. The mobsters are so cartoonishly over the top. The gun disarming them scene was actually pretty funny, but it's like it's gems that have aged well in a tsunami of just themes and dialogue that I find painfully unfunny.
That's so funny.
But I'm willing to acknowledge there's definitely stuff that still does shine through as like, okay, that's pretty great. And the mobster actors are so clearly having fun being these like
my God,
mustache twirling, like, you do just well, good boss. Like,
and buttermilk. I guess maybe one of the other things that sort of like evokes sort of these nostalgic memories, because I grew up watching cartoons like Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry and all those things, is actually seeing
the influence.
Seeing scenes in Some Like It Hot and being like, these scenes are so over the top, like they're not realistic. Like the scene in the beginning of the movie when we have the mob hit and it's just like over the top gun shooting, and Spats, the name of the head like mafia guy, comes over and kicks the toothpick out of, like, Charlie Toothpick is his name or something. Like, it's just, I mean, it is just ridiculous. And I think the other thing, speaking of Singing in the Rain, that I think we should touch on just a little bit is like when you talk about sort of the glamorous style of that era, I think one thing to note that's so dramatically different between Singing in the Rain and Some Like It Hot, aside from a myriad of things, is that Some Like It Hot is shot in black and white, and there is some camera work in some scenes where the lighting is so soft, everything just sort of looks like, it just looks romantic, like it is a romantic era of film, and there's just something beautiful about, I mean, I think it's called the silver screen for a reason, you know? Yeah. There are a couple of scenes where Marilyn pokes her head into the like bunk bed on the train, and they're just beautiful. So yeah.
Why does glitter and sparkles in black and white movies hit so different?
Yes.
It's like it's almost painful to, like, if it was brighter, it would be painful to look at. But because it's limited to black and white, it's not. But like dresses in this are just like, wow, when it comes to how much they're reflecting light back.
So I assume, are you talking about the first time that we see the big band sing?
Yes, I think so.
She's wearing, like, Marilyn's wearing this glittery dress, and there's two things that I want to say there. One, like speaking of the male gaze, like, it is equal parts upsetting and hilarious that basically any time Marilyn Monroe enters a scene, there's this, like, trumpet in the background going wah, 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 like.
Yeah.
Just being like, and she's sexy, and you're not gonna know that unless we play a trumpet for you.
Which is kind of weird, right? It's like they're trying to signal, like, it's like the Jaws theme, but for booty. Like, I don't understand.
And it's like Marilyn Monroe is one of, like, the most, like, classically beautiful women. Just historically speaking, right? Like, that's kind of her.
Would you say she's the first pop culture sex icon?
I think Betty Page probably precedes her,
right.
Predates her, but. Shit, Daniel.
Sorry, I derailed your train of thought.
No, you didn't at all. I derailed my own train of thought because I'm trying to multitask over here.
Ben, if you could put Noah's head on a train and then just have, like, you know, it's coming on and then, like, I'm a truck and I just take it out. Like, that would be a wonderful insert. Right?
But then also, Ben, I need you to make that truck go back into the train because you made me remember the thing that I wanted to say.
Oh, that's great.
Which is directed at you, Ben. There's a scene where Marilyn is singing, like, with the big band at the Florida hotel, and she's just, you know, like, half of the lyrics are just like boopy doopy doop boop boop.
I wanna be loved by you, the deedly 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 dum, boop boopy doop.
And there is a scene from one of my favorite shows, Community, where, like, it's the Glee episode, and they're all sort of being lured into joining the Glee Club, and there's a scene where Annie has to seduce Jeff into joining Glee Club, and the lyrics just sort of progressively devolve into being less clever and more just sex, and the last scene from it is just Allison, like, on the floor going
Boopy doopy doop boop sex.
and it's just like, that's all I hear when I see Marilyn singing is just, like, over-sexualized, over-sensualized, like, everything that's like, okay, I get it. Like, I get it.
And that's actually like one of my final notes I was just looking at in my phone. This was a weird note I wasn't sure I wanted to bring up, but you've kind of hit on it, so I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
You can tell this is a movie taking place after the time period it's set in, looking back, mainly because of how horny it is. This movie is so frothingly horny. It is just nonstop innuendo. Look at these beautiful women. Oh my God, these guys are next to the women and the women don't realize they're guys. Oh, wait. Oh, this other dude wants to bang this dude in a dress. Everyone wants to fuck. That's the movie. That is the real underlying theme here. And so it, like, was kind of interesting to see how acknowledging they were of the horniness that definitely still existed in the more repressed time, but they had to frame it in that more repressed way, unless it was just two close people talking and they could acknowledge, like, oh my God, she's so fucking hot. Like, that was...
No, that's a great point. And this is, I guess, did we do Psycho last? No, we did Star Wars last.
Yes.
So when we were doing Psycho, we talked a little bit about the Hays Code that Alfred Hitchcock was, like, one of the first people to get past. Or sort of, like, push the envelope on. Mm-hmm. And this comes out in 1959, but that's so interesting that you say that, Daniel, because, yeah, like, sexuality, especially for this era of movies, is, like, a big taboo, is, like, a big no-no. So I don't quite know, like, maybe the fact that it is all innuendo and there's no, like blatant, like, I want to fuck you. It's just, like, it's just sexual innuendo and, like, innuendo-based jokes. But yeah, it is, like, you are so right. From basically after the 4-minute chase scene at the beginning, it's basically, like, nonstop.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sexual innuendo.
The poor thing, you're trembling all over.
It's ridiculous.
Your head's hot.
Ridiculous.
Some of my favorite movies of all time are done by the director of this movie, Billy Wilder, who's on the list, like, 4 times. I think he does Double Indemnity, Some Like It Hot, No, it doesn't matter. But Ben, can you find the other two movies? I don't know. He did Stalag 17. He did Sunset Boulevard, which is another fantastic film, also on this list. And I guess one of the things that where I'm getting with all of this is that Stalag 17 is like a POW escape film. Fantastic. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it. But then again, I also recommended this film and you didn't like it. So you never know. But they're they are like wildly different genres. And at the risk of throwing out a super hot take out there, it is cool to see a like varied, almost Kubrickian kind of director be able to like do very different genres and do them very well.
Yeah, that's always impressive, and I appreciate that. And I want to clarify, I did not hate this movie. I would give it a soft 6 out of 10 is where I would leave
Soft
it.
6, that was my nickname in high
Noah, that brings us into our concluding questions.
No, it doesn't!
Oh, okay.
No, because I got a couple more things that I want to say, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And I want to hear your takes on it too, because I know we've talked like a little bit about Marilyn Monroe's acting, but Daphne, who's Jack Lemmon, who's played by Jack Lemmon, won an Oscar for this movie, and Tony Curtis did not, but they like, he won an Oscar. He won an Oscar for his performance. And you did mention that they have really good chemistry, and I agree on that front. Like, I think that they play off each other very well. And actually, I thought Tony Curtis is acting, the guy who, apart from the ridiculous accent that he inherits when he jumps into the like millionaire role, which I don't think anyone has ever talked like that ever.
No.
Ben, can you put just like a short clip of Tony Curtis trying to talk like a rich person in there?
You're not hurt, are you?
I don't think so.
I wish you'd make sure.
Why?
Because usually when people find out who I am, they get themselves a wheelchair, a shyster lawyer, and sue me for $750,000.
Oh my God, it's fucking hilarious.
Not at all.
Okay, so if you don't have any other points, then I will ask.
I really, I don't think so. I mean, like the reality is, Daniel, I love this movie, but it's a pretty simplistic movie. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
pretty
It
simple.
does nothing. It accomplishes nothing. It's in and out, and it's totally.
It
worthless.
accomplishes an enjoyable watch.
All right. Just take away from this that Noah is a very big fan of Marilyn Monroe's character arc and thought it was exquisite.
Oh, I remembered what I was
Why are
going to
you
say.
so excited by that?
Because I remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
Another connection.
Okay.
To my one and only, to my true
Jamie
true
Lee
love.
Curtis.
Hell yeah, baby. Tony Lee Curtis is Jamie Lee Curtis's dad.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, I don't think she has a whole lot of nice things to say about him. He has a really interesting life. He was a really handsome Jew in a not very friendly place to Jews in America. But I don't think it like boded well for him in his future. It was a weird thing. But yeah, there's my literally 1 degree of separation for JLC.
For every movie we do, you need to come up with at least like a 5 degree of separation to Jamie Lee Curtis now.
Oh, I can do that, no problem.
Sweet. Okay, so do you think this movie should be remade now?
Well, yeah, actually, I do. Yeah, I absolutely do, because I think that like one of the themes that you and I have run through in talking about this movie is that on the one hand, it does some things about addressing like the paradigms of, or like the hierarchies of sex in America in like a very good way. And in many other ways, it does it in like a not so great, pretty blatantly sexist way. And so it would be nice to see people in like 2022 do this and maybe have like a more current take on it. Like how can we do drag and do it tastefully?
I think this movie's a piece of shit and should be left in the past. I don't want to see a remake because there's nothing of interest that could be done that the original one didn't fail at doing already. So I'm being over the top now for my age.
No, it's pretty good. I mean, it's nice to have like 2 people on the opposite ends of the spectrum for a movie.
If I had to be honest, it was just like a saltine cracker of a movie to me. It was just so blah. But yeah.
Saltine crackers are my favorite snack of all time.
That explains a lot about your
I
taste.
just live on saltine crackers.
All right, well, I'm going to demote it to a 5 out of 10. You leave it at a 10 out of 10, the pinnacle of representation for women in Noah's opinion.
Jesus Christ.
Does it belong in the AFI Top 100 movies?
No. It probably doesn't. And again, with one of the things that I've said before, like Billy Wilder has several films on this list, and if we're gonna keep any of them on here, it probably shouldn't be Some Like It Hot. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm gonna put the ballot in for Stalag 17. Go watch that movie. But no, Some Like It Hot probably does not need to be on the AFI Top 100.
I already know exactly the text I'm going to get from my dad. Of course, I'm not going to keep this in the top 100. He's going to text me like, it's not it's good, it's so good. And then if he actually sat down and bothered to rewatch it and see how it's aged, he'd text me and be like, that's pretty bad.
I'm sorry, does your dad text in only like phonemes? Does he only
syllables.
Text sounds?
Yes.
How do you interpret his texts?
That's how I read everything, honestly. The books I review, I just take syllables from each word, and that's it.
So basically, Daniel reading like an 800-page book is just your inner.
Helm's Deep was like.
That's pretty much how it was in the book too.
Okay. Let us know what you think of Some Like It Hot in the comments down below. And next week we will be reviewing Noah.
Oh shit! I thought this was your week. I picked Some Like It Hot.
Oh, is The Shining on the top 100?
Shining's on the top 100.
Next week we're doing The Shining.
Ring, ring. Nope, that's not right. Are we out? And we're out.
Okay, thank you.